Can I have your attention, please? We'll be starting up shortly.
So if I don't vote on the minutes, is that going to go right, or you will just wait until the next time?
Whatever. We can do it if need be, if everybody had a chance to look at them. Last time we got them that day, that's why we put them over. So, Good evening and welcome to the Lowell Planning Board for Monday, June 16th, 2025. The first matter we have on the agenda is approval of the minutes of June 2nd, 2025. Anybody have any questions or discussion on the minutes? Everybody had a chance to review them, or do you?
I'd make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Motion's made. I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Any opposition? Hearing none. The minutes are approved. Okay, going along on the agenda, we have a definitive subdivision, 318 Andover Street. Greg Looney has applied to the Lowell Planning Board to subdivide the existing lot at the above address. The subject property is located in the suburban single-family zoning district. The newly created lot will not meet the minimum frontage requirement pursuant to Section 5.1 of the Lowell zoning code. The project requires definitive subdivision approval from the Planning Board under Lowell subdivision of land regulations. May we hear the applicant for 318 Andover Street? Anybody from Andover Street? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Does it always start at 6:30 or?
Yes, we started 6:30 promptly. Yep. The only time we didn't is when we had a problem with the TV. They told us to hold off, and then we started about 20 minutes late.
Would they be online?
Andover Street requested a continuance from the zoning board at the last meeting, so that might be why they're
The zoning board.
I know.
I can
I know.
The zoning board.
I know.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, what is the past history if somebody doesn't appear? What would you suggest?
well, first of all, do we have any people here for this project on Andover Street? Anybody on Andover Street? All right, so what I'll do is I'll jump over that and go to the next project and see if they show in the interim, if there's no objections. Okay, next matter will be a tree hearing. We have Van Greenby Road, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 87.5 and Chapter 260 of the Lowell Code of Ordinance. The Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons about the proposed removal of one tree at 2 Van Greenby Road with a diameter of 34 inches, one tree at 24 Van Greenby Road with a diameter of approximately 28 inches, one tree at 29 Van Greenby Road with a diameter of approximately 40 inches, two trees at 61 Van Greenby Road with approximate diameter of 31 inches and 29 inches, and one tree at 70 Van Greenby Road with a diameter of approximately 30 inches, and two trees at 75 Van Greenby Road with approximately diameter of 28 inches and 23 inches. The removal of these trees is necessary to maintain the integrity of the public sidewalk and utilities. May we hear from the applicant on Van Greenby Road tree hearing?
Good evening. I'm Paul St. Cyr. I'm the DPW Commissioner and the Tree Warden. I did want to speak to this, and I know that there are several people who are here from the neighborhood tonight. So initially, I thought I was coming for a continuance, and I'd like to do that as the end result out of this, but in fairness to the people who are here, I think I'd like to explain a few things that are going on with this process, if that's okay.
Sure. Go right ahead, sir.
So, to give a little context to what's going on here, actually, it happened with my predecessor, where there was a resident that lived on Van Greenby who had a very similar issue to the other trees that are on that street, and was looking for some relief from that. And so they did remove that tree at that time and replaced it with 2 trees, I believe. That's somewhere about 2 years ago. Shortly thereafter, another resident had contacted a counselor and had reached out for the same type of issue, and so that caused us to make a site visit, and we actually ended up walking the street entirely. And so unfortunately, and it's, you know, to be frank, it's a street that is around the corner from my house, and I walk it often. The unfortunate part, though, is that the trees have really outgrown the space that they're in. It's in the wrong place, and it's caused havoc for several residents who live there. One resident spent over, well, tens of thousands of dollars in repairs for their utilities and some issues that they've had into their house. So I don't think any of us want to see the trees go anywhere. The problem is that the way they are right now, they're causing these issues. I guess the other thing is, if it were as simple as just installing like a FlexiPave product, which we have in some different places of the city, and recently we had our street department certified to install that product, we would have taken that route. The problem is, one, the issue that it causes with the utilities because they're planted in the wrong place, so merely putting FlexiPave over it doesn't cure the issue that the resident is having, is one. Two, just the plane itself, where the roots are well above the sidewalk plane. In some cases, in front of 24, they're about 18 inches above. It's not a matter of just shaving out the roots to the tree. Will end up causing damage to that tree that won't make it really able to survive. And three, over the last couple of years since I've been here, there have been several incidents where they've lost leaders out of the trees that have closed the road off, in some cases during a storm or whatever. So they're losing limbs. There are several of them that actually have some infestation from termites or carpenter ants. And so there are a lot of reasons that we came to this answer for moving forward. So unfortunately, due to a staffing clerical error, we did not have the tree replanting plan, and that's why I planned on coming to ask just for the continuance so we can come back with that, so you'll see all of that. And I guess the last thing, I know it was a concern of some of the neighbors. Whenever we're doing repairs to sidewalks, and that's what these would be, there's about 90 panels that are impacted on the street. We replace in like kind because it would look a little bit crazy to go from cement to pavement to cement to pavement and so on. And I think there might have been some confusion with what we're going to be replacing the broken panels with. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, I had one brief question. So when I was up there today, I looked at all the tree signs, and I know for the application, you came in with approximately 8 trees.
Mm-hmm.
I counted 10 trees with the signs on them.
Because there are 2 in front of property, so there's,
Yeah. So basically, I see where you have 2 at 75, which I found those no problem.
Yep.
Okay. You have 1 at 70, 2 at 61,
yep,
and then you have 2 trees at 24. We only have 1 listed. Who's ever here from 24, right? There's 2 trees there, right?
you're correct.
Yep, okay. And then we have 2 more trees at 29, which is the nice, pretty yellow house, right? Right, okay. So I'm just saying, it's a 2, I took pictures of them all, and I'm just saying, okay, we got them all, but I got 10 signs and 8 on the request, so I imagine.
Correct.
I know you might have just put down 1, but it looked like they requested both of them because they're both at the same address. Okay. So if you're requesting a continuance, basically, What do you think you're going to achieve with your continuance? You want to do what? I'm
So it
sorry?
would be able to, I thought it had been attached to, was really just to have the replanting plan, so you'd have the chance to review that as well before making the decision.
Have you had any discussion with the neighbors on any of the trees at all? Or?
I have.
Okay.
I have. And clearly, yeah, I think the neighborhood as a whole, nobody wants to see trees go away
I mean,
by any stretch. I think there are,
I mean,
facing reality though, and knowing like if
Yeah.
you were the person paying tens of thousands of dollars in repairs.
I mean, it looked like to me, the worst two that I saw was no doubt with the two trees at 24.
24.
Where those roots were like, I mean, it was amazing how wide and long they were. I mean,
true.
I mean, I don't know who lives at 24, but obviously, those were bad. I don't know what your feelings are on it. By looking at them, I can say, oh my God, they definitely got to be going in towards the house or something, because it's the whole sidewalk, really. I mean, when I saw how big they were, I'm like, I took several pictures of that saying, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know
true.
what your feelings on it, but obviously, I don't think I'd want that in front of my house, but,
Yep.
so,
Anecdotally, my son, as a child, I lived in that neighborhood, and out for Halloween, he had a loose tooth, but knocked it out going down there on a trip hazard there. So I can understand the concern that anyone would have.
so if by speaking with the neighbors and continued, as some of these trees you think you might be able to save, or you're just gonna try, I know you said you might come up with a replanting plan within the next 60 days in that, on that street, basically, right?
Correct.
Right. But, so you'd still be going forward requesting all of them be removed, or there's some that you've spoken with neighbors that you have some agreement on, or?
The one that's actually closest for us for being able to use the FlexiPay product, so we'd like to attempt it and hopefully see if it's successful, but we might find ourselves revisiting is the one at number 2, which is close to Washington Parkway.
Oh, number two, that's the one
Yeah,
down in the
house
corner.
faces,
Yeah, that's on the corner.
faces Washington Parkway, but the
Yeah,
garage
That
faces.
didn't seem too bad, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So if at all possible, we'll see if we can do that actually in the meanwhile, but it'll take some time to see if it has any impact on the tree, really.
Okay. So he's requesting a continuance. I'll listen to, if anybody wants to speak, I'll let other people speak, hear what they have to say. Hopefully, the continuance can help resolve some of the issues, I'm hoping, but, sure. Just come to the microphone and state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christina Nikotopoulos. I'm at the 24 Van Greenby with the worst sidewalks on the street.
Yeah, that real bad one, yeah.
So I had asked initially for my trees to come down about 8 years ago. They put signs up. There was a hearing. I was in a PhD program. I did not attend the hearing because I could not skip class, but neighbors did complain that they didn't want the trees to come down because of the beauty of the street. So I lost, which was fine. 2 years ago, my basement flooded. I have $40,000 worth of damage in my basement. Of course, insurance doesn't want to pay it, but everything has to be redone. The electrical, I have no walls in my basement. It's a disaster. It flooded again 4 months later. They did not want to pay anything towards that. They didn't, because they said, I didn't deal with the problem. And the problem is the roots in the pipes. So now my basement is just sitting there. I pay a lot of taxes, which is fine, but I can't fix my basement now because, and I know like any pipes that are on my property versus sidewalk, it's my problem versus the city's.
Okay.
But I can't do anything because the trees and roots are still going to be there. My mom fell this winter in my house, inside the house, broke her pelvis. The EMTs did not know how to get her from the front door out to the ambulance because the sidewalks are so uneven, and they had her on one of those chairs strapped in, and they were like, we don't know which direction to turn because we can't get over the unevenness of the sidewalks.
Okay.
And my front walkway is completely broken up because the roots, my grass is terrible. I'm sure my neighbors love me on the street.
So you,
No comments. But I can't do it, like I just, so I know I'm affected most by this. I don't know if other people have had basement issues or whatever, but I can't even.
I have, same thing.
Yeah, I can't proceed.
Not nice.
I can't proceed to fix the basement.
I had to put a whole new septic line in, $10,000.
Yeah, but I can't fix my basement until the trees get dealt with. And I can't change, any of the pipes under my yard
Yeah.
because the trees are still there.
So you'd be in favor of those trees coming down?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
hear
know
you.
everyone here is for the trees. I love
Oh, I
trees.
get it.
Even
But they
my
don't have-
kids say that it's going to ruin the look of the street, but at the same time, it's causing issues.
Yeah.
And when people are out walking at night
So-
and it's dark out, it's not safe.
So every tree they take down, they have to put up 2.
Right. Yep.
And I think they're trying to do it in the same neighborhood, right, sir? Yeah, yeah. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else like to speak? Just the name and address, please, so we know. Yeah.
Jamie McCabe, 61 Van Greenby Road.
You're 61? You have the 2 trees, right? Yep.
I do.
61, where are my notes here? I got you.
So,
Okay.
What
So
I,
you're the brick house, half brick and half gray house?
yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask was, and I understand that some people feel that the character of the street is from the trees, but we don't have nearly the problems that Christina has, but our sidewalks are rough shape. And I think, talking to my wife and a number of our neighbors, our biggest concern is if the trees do come down, we'd like to know what the plan is, because we'd like to maintain, and part of the character of the street are the concrete walkways. A couple streets over, they're redoing it, and it's asphalt.
Yeah,
We
they're
don't
doing
want
2
that.
streets over, right. They came before us a few meetings ago.
And the
Yeah.
islands, and we want to make sure of that, and the replanting of the trees. So I understand for safety issues, it's like us, people don't, the students walking to the daily, they don't walk on our sidewalk, especially in the winter because it's so uneven. So I understand all that, but we want to make sure that if the trees do come down, we still try to maintain as much of that as we can in the aesthetics and the character by replanting the trees, by putting concrete in. We just want to make sure that's clear. Mr. St. Cyr came by today, and he was kind enough to spend some time, and he answered a lot of my questions, which I was going to ask tonight, but that's my concern. And then if we could be shared a timeline, so we know when this begins, when it ends, and so we could prepare accordingly. And I'd like to, we have sprinklers. I don't know if when I put them in, if our yard had creeped onto city property, so I just want to make sure those things are all maintained. So if that communication and that timeline could be shared, if the decision to take them down is done, that's what I'd be looking for.
Because, when I was looking at those today up there, I'm like, must be hard shoveling the sidewalk or using a snow blower with all those stumps coming.
My snow blower's been
If I use my snow blower, if I hit just something up a little bit, it just bucks and I go right into it.
Yeah, so yeah, those are our concerns, and the trees are great, but same thing. I'm concerned about the roots getting into my foundation, into my pipes, and things like that. So if they do have to come down, the concern is that there's a plan in place moving forward that will maintain what we kind of would like to see in our neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else want to speak?
Hi, Joseph Jasome, 50 Van Greenby Road. We don't have any trees in front of our house. We have a couple of small cherry trees, but none of the bigger trees. Obviously, we'd like to maintain the character of the neighborhood, but the sidewalks are in awful shape, and they need to be replaced. Our biggest concern is we have several handicapped neighbors who are wheelchair-bound, who cannot access the sidewalks because of the shape that they're in. And one of the questions that I would have, as we've been noticing some of the sidewalks being replaced around the neighborhood, we want to make sure that there's going to be handicap accessible entryways onto the sidewalks from the corner of the street as well as around the neighborhood itself. We would love to see trees replanted and to maintain the same style of sidewalk that we have now. The sidewalks, I'm sure, were beautiful when they were first put in. The problem that we have now is there's, in the wintertime, there's so much icing because of how uneven they are. And like you were saying, it's impossible to get a snowblower over it or to shovel it. You're constantly hitting, uneven space, and it just creates an enormous amount of issues. But yeah, the handicap access was the biggest concern for us. So we'd like to see the sidewalks replaced with handicap access if possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak? Anybody else? Just come to the microphone, please. Give us your name and address. Thank you.
How you doing, Brian Molinari? This is something I've seen, a lot. I'm in the tree business, and I think to take down a tree because of sidewalk or a pipe is a thing of the past. The communities that really care about their trees don't cut them down for these reasons. When you have a pipe, you have a union that leaks water. When the pipe is bad, the roots are going to go in there. It's not the tree's fault. If you have a nice pipe, the PVC pipe, maybe Paul could speak to this, but it's the pipe's fault. If you have a nice pipe, you won't get roots in it. And secondly, sidewalks, you can easily fix a sidewalk without taking a tree down. It's that composite material you're talking about, Paul? Is that what you're thinking about doing? Yeah, that works beautifully over root mass. And tarmac works really good too. That way you can have both. And it's like, there's no need to cut down a tree to fix the sidewalk.
But I mean, a lot of the pipes in the city are clay, so the tree roots will go through the clay pipe.
They leak, yeah.
Right.
But
I mean, if they're old enough, they're clay.
that's right.
Yeah.
And
The new ones they put in no longer
they don't
clay.
leak, that's right.
Yeah, that's what they told
So
me.
if you're gonna take down a tree for every pipe that leaks, you're not gonna have any, and that's what these neighborhoods are looking at. They're looking at completely treeless streets. It's because pipes, sidewalks, these are the arguments that always get brought up. But communities that care about their canopy, don't let that get in the way.
But I mean, at least if they take a tree down, they have to put two up on the same street.
Yeah, but
So
when are those?
It's not like it's gonna be gutted down and no tree's gonna be there.
But they're gonna be twigs. That's the only
Yeah,
problem.
takes a little while to grow.
They'll all
but
be
yeah.
dead by the time they're anything.
Yeah.
That's the only problem. I've seen the trees that the city puts in. They're tiny, and that's what you're going to be looking at.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak? Okay. So I think we heard some of the concerns, and you're requesting a continuance. I know, excuse me, Peter, our agenda's getting pretty full, but, let's see. Mr. St. Cyr, how much time would you request to?
As soon as we can get it back on the agenda, we just wanted to be able to think that it was out there and the public could see what all of that is, the supporting documentation, that's all.
Peter, could we squeeze him in our July meeting? I know we're getting full. I mean, I know we're full in July and August, but what's the July date?
I think that would be okay. One of them's a rezone, and this would be a tree here.
What's the date on the July one?
The 21st.
21st? Okay. Any of the board members have any comments or concerns? Do you mind if I start with you, Dan?
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. St. Cyr. What would be particularly helpful to me is to see what the road layout looks like, and the legal layout, as well as the as-built, the way it is right now. I definitely feel for people that are having issues, but I also think that's one gorgeous street. When I was walking down it on Saturday, it's gorgeous. And it's gorgeous for a reason. People take care of their properties and they have trees. So it would help me if I had a plan that actually showed the layout of what the street, what is the total legal limit of the street, and what is it built as. Also, if you're doing any of this work, I assume all the utilities, whether they be water, gas, electric, whatever, should be marked. It would be helpful to us if we had a plan that showed where it's marked, because then it would tell us where we can plant or can't plant. I also look at it and wonder, can these sidewalks, do they have to be 100% straight? I always wonder that when I see it. I mean, does anybody want to see a sidewalk go like this? No, not necessarily, but the problem is everybody wants the concrete sidewalks, yet the worst thing you could probably put in is a concrete sidewalk, because there's no flex, there's no bending, there's no nothing. All right, the only thing that's gonna happen is they're gonna lift, and that's pretty much it. So it would help me, I think, if I had a layout of the street showing the utilities, showing the as-built, as well as what our legal limits are, to see what we have for flexibility there. The pavement idea is a good idea. I like that better than some of the alternatives of just cutting things down. 24, that's crazy. Those trees are, I don't know how far they're out of the ground, but they're a mess. So some of these trees, we probably won't have much of
A choice.
much of a choice. But in the grand scheme of things, I think if we can be provided with that information, as well as as you mentioned, the replanting plan, and I know we're all coming up to speed on this as far as getting this stuff ahead of time. But if we could get that, that would show us and the neighborhood, hey, listen, this is what we're trying to do. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Lucia, any questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just say that I agree with Member Tenzar. Van Greenby is a beautiful street. It would be unfortunate if the trees had to go. I do think that the right of the residents to enjoy their street is paramount, so if nothing else can be done, they should at least be happy where they live. I'm glad to see that the city's looking into alternative methods of, rather than just taking a chainsaw to everything. And that's all.
Thank you. Caleb, any questions, comments?
One comment is just to make sure the replanting plan is based on the 10 trees, not 8, so that we don't have to miss like a couple replanting. Sorry, my voice is still recovering from my flu, but just want to make sure you replanting just based on the 10 trees. I know there was a list of 8 before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think secondly, I will concur with Member Tensa that, it would be nice to have flexibility, but at the same time, like a comment about ADA accessibility, that also have limitations, and I know like that requires certain width. So if you replant on part of the sidewalk, that takes away that width as well. So that certainly is a limitation. I think it depends on how much legal space they really have. So that's a comment. Secondly, I know I value a lot on neighborhood character as well, but I want to emphasize that public safety and health is also very important, particularly with existing units. We're not proposing new development here. People who have lived there a long time. So if some trees get into the way and risk that, I think there's a good discussion needed, whether some trees might be a problem, and we do have, as the authority on tree hearings to require replanting of the trees. So I don't see it as a one-side conversation that we're saving all trees, because we know trees do give us problems sometimes. So I appreciate the comments from everyone, and I'll stay tuned on their continuance. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Yeah, I have no problem with the continuance. Hopefully, if we can get some more information, have the applicant work out the replanting situation, and they have any further discussion with the neighbors, I'm always all in favor of that. So I'll make a motion that we continue the matter to the July 21st, 25 meeting. I'm sorry, if you could just come up here. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Yeah, just come to the mic so we can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Catherine Nevetta, and I live on the street down from Van Greenby. And I'm just wondering, if her house is so impacted by the trees, wouldn't it be prudent to fix the water pipes that are coming from the street into her land, to fix them before she has to face this again and then pull everything up? I mean, another thing, that the water pipes and everything that's going into her basement that are impacted by the tree roots. So they must be leaking in some sort, and will that leaking still be a problem for her that we'll have to deal with on a later basis? So could we just kind of look at that too? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion made to continue to July 21st. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none. The motion continued to that date. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming down and giving us some input. Thank you very much. Okay, the next matter we have on is a site plan and a special permit. So we have Marcia Hebert has applied to the Lowell Planning Board for a site plan review and special permit approval to convert a 3-unit residential and 1-unit commercial building into a 4-unit residential building. The property is located in traditional mixed-use zoning district. It requires site plan review approval under section 11.4.22 for the expansion of a residential structure with more than 3 dwelling units, and a special permit under 12.1C for 4 dwelling units on a lot. May we hear from the applicant, please? Let's see here. We got this.
Okay, good evening. My name is Ian Ainsley. I am an engineer from Eyes of Rem, representing the property owner and applicant who's here with me tonight, Marcia Hebert. This is 246 University Ave. It's at the corner of 5th and University. This building currently is a 3-family building with a commercial unit on the first floor. What we're here for tonight is a change of use from that commercial unit from commercial to residential, so it would become a 4-unit residential building. This is in the traditional mixed-use zone, so when we change to multifamily, a special permit is required under your table of uses in your zoning. Thanks.
Peter, could you just ask him to move down the hall because we can't hear the meeting? Thank you. There. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate it. Would you like me to start over?
No,
with that?
I think we got you so far.
Okay. So we're not proposing any site work. Because this would become a 4-unit building, it does trigger site plan approval. So we're here tonight for site plan approval and a special permit request. We do need to go to the zoning board as well for some zoning variances when you go from commercial to residential. There's a lot area per dwelling unit dimension in the zoning. So by adding a unit, we have to get a variance for that dimension. We'll be going there next week. And that's really the gist of the project. It's not too much more complicated than that. I can kind of answer your questions if you have specific questions. But, yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to the public. Anybody this evening want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. I'll turn it over to the board members to see if they have any questions or comments. Okay, would you mind if I start with you?
Oh, sure. So,
you, Caleb.
we should ask about parking and trash removal. So what's the current situation, and what are you proposing?
Sure. So right now, there's a city trash pickup that would remain the same after the change of use. There's about 7 spaces on the property now. They're not painted, but you can fit the cars there. There's 2 kind of, this is the building, this is the side property line. There's 2 over here. And then there's about 5 or 6 So we would keep that layout the same as it is now.
I see. And so the car will be parking perpendicular to the
Yes.
house?
Yep.
Okay,
So, yes, so the front of the car would be facing the building. Yep.
I see. And how many bedroom in totals are on all four units
I
together?
know the new unit is 2-bedroom. How many bedrooms are the other ones?
Sure, can you state your name and address for the record, please, ma'am? Thank you.
Hebert. I own the building.
Okay.
So on my first floor, where my office is behind that, I have a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And then like I have what do you call it, a half bath, maybe a toilet and just a sink. That was mine. And then on the second floor, I have 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. And on the third floor, I have a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And I've owned the house for, oh my God, well over 30 years.
Okay, thank you. So 10 bedrooms, right? I hear.
So
4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2.
2 and 4, yeah, it'd be 10.
10,
Yep.
okay. Let's see. I think just one comment, I mean, parking, I know, right? You're providing 7, I mean, there are plenty of street parking there though, I mean, on-street parking. But I also think that like, for a residential building to have perpendicular parking, I mean, I would like to see more green space instead of parking in front of property, but I understand, you know, that's their current layout. And you're not doing anything other than changing interior space.
Correct, so we're not proposing any exterior work outside the building.
Yeah, because I would think that like, the look of it is still very commercial. So just a comment on that. And secondly, maybe asking, are the new units going to maintain those glass panels, or are you going to provide more
We're
privacy?
going to remove some of them, definitely. The one in the front, we were going to remove with my name on it, because I've been an electrologist now there for like 35 years. I hate saying how long I've been doing all this. And then we're probably going to remove the other, at least one on the side, to give it more of like a home look and not
Yep.
such a commercial look. But that's when I bought it years ago. It used to be a variety store that we went to as kids. You know, we'd walk up there, Boucher's Market. So we're going to remove some of those, absolutely.
So similar color materials, like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay, got it.
Yep.
Right, I think that's all.
Thank you,
I have.
Caleb.
Well, but I'll discuss and we have more comments later. Thank you.
Danny?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things I specifically wrote was to mention the likes and the dislikes. Sometimes I tend to focus on what I really don't like about a plan and not mention what I do. So I have a note here. I thought the project, much like the one that's across the street that was
Yeah, we
proposed
came
a
in
year
for that
ago.
last year, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that project, and I was disappointed. When I looked, I'm like, it's not built. What's going on?
We are starting it. We just got our foundation permit, so we are starting that very soon.
Okay.
Takes time to get through the building department.
I'm sure, I'm sure. So I was looking at that, and then I came around to this property. One of the things I did like about it is that this is a very multifamily area. There's a lot of multifamilies in the area. I thought it could go along with that. What I didn't like is the parking. I can't say that those 5 spaces are actually parking, because my memory is they're supposed to be 9 by 18 or something like that. Looking at the spaces, you have roughly 12-foot spaces there before you get to what is supposed to be the sidewalk. So my problem is, when you're looking through, site plan approval, the pedestrian and vehicle safety, is whether those are true. One, do we have enough spaces for the project to begin with? And, maybe you can say, all right, we're going to have some that are going to be on the street. Yeah, probably. But realistically, do we actually have 7? And that's what I was troubled with, because the 5 that are on, what was it? Is it 4th, 5th?
Fifth Ave.
Fifth Ave, I didn't think were legal.
So the thing that I would say is right now it's an existing commercial use with the 3 families. So
Yeah.
I kind of look at it as it's a reduction in the amount of people that are going to be parking there because commercial typically attracts more cars than residential. So I kind of look at it as it's going to be taking something that's already there and making it a little bit better. The cars do park there now, and I mean, Marcia, you've been there for a long time. I don't think there's been any issue out there prior to this. We have, probably 20 to 30 years of that layout where there hasn't been a safety issue. So I would kind of use the history of the property as sort of evidence that there hasn't been an issue, and so I don't expect there to be an issue when that doesn't change.
Appreciate the input, and, historically, that's good. We don't want any issues. But those are small cars. I did see some cars when I was out there on Saturday that were parked in. It fits small cars. It can't fit a full-size car because it's only 12 feet. Otherwise, if it does fit it, it's actually into the sidewalk, and then you don't have people walking on the sidewalk. You have them walking out in the street. So my biggest problem is with the parking. I like the project. I think it makes sense. What I don't like is the parking, and you're not the first one, and you won't be the last one that comes before this board that I don't like their parking. So that's it, Mr. Chairman.
If I could add one more thing. Right across Fifth Ave, there is sidewalk right on the other side of that street too. So there is, if you go over there and you see cars and you're not feeling safe going through there, there's a pretty easy go-around sidewalk on the other side of the street that you could use as well. So there is an alternative.
Appreciate it.
Does he have any questions, comments? No. I'm just going to follow up with Danny left off. So we've had a couple of comments from city departments about the parking. One, I'll start with the engineer comments. While I have no comments regarding the proposed change in the use from mixed use to residential, I note that the existing parking along Fifth Ave slightly encroaches into the city right of way. Although the condition has existed for some time, any future street or sidewalk reconstruction on Fifth Ave by the city would impact the size of the parking in this area. So if the city does any construction on Fifth Ave, good chance you're going to lose all your parking, except for the 2 in the rear. This should not be an issue for most standard vehicles, but larger vehicles and trucks may need to use one of the larger spaces in the back. And the next one is, so the fire department is, so you're going to have to sprinkle the whole building, correct?
That's what they said. We're hoping to kind of work that out with them. Typically,
It's mandatory for any 4-unit building. Mandatory. Once it goes from a 3 to 4, has to be sprinkled. We have no leeway on that. Fire department won't give on that. Any major alterations or change for the use of 3 to 4 above requires that they are brought up to modern code. This project will require a full 13-hour sprinkler system, hardwire smoke COs, detection throughout, and an alarm system for sprinklers. That's mandatory, non-negotiable. And, when I looked at the plan, I took a picture, there is no sidewalk there. It's your parking. You have it on your plan saying it's a sidewalk. It's not a sidewalk. I questioned it and said, so I see all the cars pull into the Ballards, but it's not a sidewalk. So then we get the traffic engineer that follows up on the parking issue. If the existing paved area by the front stairs, egress number 1, is to remain, it should be posted and/or striped, no parking, to eliminate immediate conflicts between turning vehicles at the intersection and residents entering and exiting the parking stalls. The proposed parking stalls, as marked on the site, will not be up to city standards, dimensions of 18 feet in depth, fully on the subject property, as the stalls are shown extending into city right-of-way and blocking the sidewalk area. So now you're taking away the pedestrian access. The applicant should discuss the board's satisfaction whether an ADA-compliant 5-foot travel path is available behind the parking stalls to allow pedestrians to park without walking in the vehicle travel lane. So transportation's telling us you don't have it. Engineering is telling us you don't have it. They say you don't have the parking to begin with, because it goes into the city right away.
My response to the ADA piece, putting that behind the parking space, I don't really feel like that makes sense because that would just push your parking further out into the street. So that seems like it would worsen the situation to me. Like I said before, it is an existing condition. So we're reducing the number of people that would be parking there from something that exists.
Not necessarily. I mean, now that you have 4 units, you might have another family in there who come and go a lot more than what the business created. And maybe the business wasn't open on weekends, where most people are home on weekends, which gives you more parking. So, I mean, they're telling you right now, it doesn't meet the city requirements of parking. Doesn't meet it.
I will mention we are going to zoning board as well
Okay.
to get relief, I believe, on parking as part of that. So
But parking falls on the site plan, pedestrian
Yep.
access, that's all under site plan, and special permit as well. So zoning board can give you any relief you want, but on the site plan, you have to have pedestrian access, which you're taking away from the cars, and you don't meet the parking requirement. You don't even meet the parking requirement now, and now you want to make it more.
I don't know if I would call it more.
Oh, I do.
It's a change, I agree.
Oh, yeah, to change, you put another unit there, so that would bring in more parking. You have to have more parking for the residential unit, right? You need 8, you don't even have 8. Transportation mentions it, engineering mentions it. Fire department says you have to sprinkle it, which has to be done no matter what. So I don't think you have the parking at all. It says you're in the city right away now, and that is, on those plans, that is not a sidewalk. I know what a sidewalk is. You're parking in the sidewalk now, and it's not a sidewalk. It's just you pull right in there and take up the whole sidewalk and take away all the pedestrian access, which falls under site plan review again. As Mr. Tenzar said. So I have issues with the parking, and the fact, it's outlined by an engineer, it's out by the fire department, it's out by the traffic engineer, and I'm sure you received these comments.
I have.
Okay, so those are issues that the departments have brought up. So
I don't see anything from engineering or transportation that specifically states they have opposition to the project because of.
it says it does not meet city standards. Right? And you have to meet city standards when
I
you're
think-
putting in a new unit for parking. The proposed parking stalls are marked on the site plan will not be to city standards, 18 in depth and on the subject property. As stalls are shown existing in the right-of-way and blocking the sidewalk area. And then they're asking for ADA, and you don't want to do either.
It's not that I don't want to do it.
You're not gonna.
It's not that I don't think there's the space to do it
No.
without worsening the
That's
conditions.
because you don't
there.
have the room. Yeah. So you don't have the requirement for the parking.
So growing up, I've grown up in Pawtuckaville my whole entire life. That used to be Boucher's Market with the same exact parking that it's always had. When I purchased the property, it was a convenience, no, I'm sorry, it was a video store, like a DVD, whatever they used to rent, and sell like a baseball card on the whole floor. And there's plenty of parking. Never had any issues with parking. I've been an electrologist there for like 35 years. I've never had any issues. I've always worked pretty much by myself. I did have a nail salon at one time, but I still never had any issues. My problem is, I'm retiring. My body mechanics are breaking down, and I can't do it anymore. So, I'm a landlord also, which is why I'm building that free townhome unit across the street. The city needs units, especially 1 and 2 bedrooms. I get phone calls for that all the time. Older people, maybe a single mother with, 2 kids or whatever. You know what I get phone calls for? I put the feelers out for my commercial space. A vape store, convenience store, juice bar. It's not gonna make it. It's just not. And it makes it look trashy. I hate to say it. University Avenue kind of looks trashy a little bit. I've always kept my properties up. I'm a great landlord. I can pat myself on the back for that. I'm very hands-on. All of my tenants that have been in that building, The third floor, she's been with me probably almost 10 years. I don't really raise her rent. I'm a very good landlord. My tenant's on the second floor, that's myself. And I've lived there and I grew up there. And my tenants on the first floor have been with me there for a long time too, probably 9 years. One of them just moved out and he works at Leahy and his friend works at Leahy and he moved into another one of my buildings, a 1-bedroom. There's such a need for apartments in the city. There's such a need. 1 and 2 bedrooms. There's not a need for another commercial spot. What I do, electrolysis, that's gone to laser. I mean, there's only so many things I can rent that out to as a commercial space. But like I said, I've never had, honestly, a parking issue there, ever. I bought that building because of the parking. I remember Amin Mercia telling me years ago, kid, you did a good job because it's one of the buildings that has a lot of parking. So when I came into, up and buying something, I first started, I was either going to buy Jerry's Food Store up the street, or I was going to buy that, and I bought that because of the parking. I've never had an issue. The city has a huge amount of need for apartments, especially smaller ones, 1 and 2 bedrooms, and I don't rent my stuff out really high. I kind of take care of people, and I'm proud to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. Either that, if I have to keep it a commercial, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to put, what, a vape store? I'm across the street from the school. You know what I mean? I don't want that in my neighborhood. I take pride in my neighborhood. I've been in Pawtuckaville my whole entire life. I grew up on 2nd Avenue. So, I'm trying to better the property, provide something for the community. And like I said, I'm a very hands-on, I can see pretty much everything I own from where I am. And my tenants are great. And I make sure that everything goes smoothly. So, I've never had an issue with the parking, ever. I just wanted to put, that in.
Thank you. Any of the board have any further comment? Mr. Tenzar?
Just briefly, appreciate your business, appreciate what you're doing over there, like your other project better than this one. But one of my first things I wrote was likes and dislikes, and I did like the project. Hate the parking, don't think you have parking. Whether you do or don't have had issues in the past when you were growing up, times have changed my neighborhood, there's cars everywhere. That's just the way things are. Everybody has 2, 3, 4 cars. So when I look at this, my biggest problem is with that parking on the side. I'm not even troubled by the stacked parking, and I hate stacked parking in the back. But I don't see this, I do hear that you've been using this way, but when you're coming before one of these boards, we have a responsibility to follow what the rules are, and the rules say that the spaces are actually supposed to be this wide, and you're not supposed to be just having cars come up over the sidewalk or basically just pave over the sidewalk. So, Mr. Chairman, I can't support this.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any further discussion?
So may I say something? I don't understand, I understand there are rules, I understand there are regulations. I'm a big rule follower. But, I create something that's not broken. It's worked all these years. I've never had any issues. I have a professional plow company that comes and plows me out, shovels my sidewalks, sands everything. I've never had an issue, ever, anywhere on any of my properties. So my coming before you is just, I'm just trying to plead that I can't do electrology anymore. It's a dying industry. But I'm older now. It's time for me to retire. There's only so many things that I'm going to be able to put there. I have a commercial unit, so I have a right to put something there. What is going to go there that's going to take up less parking than my putting, the 1 and 2 cars? One of the things that I do put on the applications when I do, come out as a landlord saying, hey, I'm coming for rent, how many vehicles do you have? Because I have to pay attention to that. I'm very respectful of all my neighbors. I'm very respectful. I've never had any issues. So that's what I'm saying. I understand where you're coming from. Why create something that's not broken? Own that building since what? 91, 90, about that? And I've never had any issues. I've never so much as you know, person. I've been in Putnam my whole life. So I understand. Why bring something that's not broken?
Well, first of all, you're changing the site.
I'm changing the site. But
Correct, okay. You're changing the site, and then, so whatever you had that was previously existing, you didn't have the parking to begin with legally. And now it's, ma'am, okay, fine, if you don't want to listen to us, fine, you can keep talking. I won't say another word until we vote. Okay, never mind.
If I could say something.
Sure, go right ahead.
I think what we would like to do, given where we're at, is request a continuance. I'll try to see if I can find an alternative with the parking, maybe turning them 90 degrees so that there's fewer of them, and make up the remainder of the parking with street parking.
One thing I will say, whether we continue it or not, is you're going to have to sprinkle it. If you don't come back saying you're sprinkling it.
I'm not arguing against it.
I'm just telling you, if it's not sprinkled, the fire department will not give you an occupancy permit. You won't get it.
We're willing
Build
to-
anything you want, and I'll
we're
tell you
willing
right
to
now,
work with the
if
fire
you're not going to sprinkle it, I am not voting for it. It's required. Whenever you change a 3 to a 4, it has to be done by city standard. It's a health, safety issue. Okay? The city requires it. We've done it every single time it's come before us. I've been sitting here for a long, long time. We've never waived it.
We're willing to work with the fire
I'm
department
just telling you.
with what they want.
If you don't sprinkle it,
Yep.
it's not going to get approved by me. I'll tell you that.
Through all of my buildings that have more than 3 apartments, with Peter, Peter's last name I was speaking, Peter Howley, and I put all the safety exits. It cost me over $12,000.
Sure.
To all of my buildings.
Yep.
I am very compliant.
Okay. So then you'd have no problem putting in the sprinkler system, right? You'd be very compliant.
Is that what is gonna make, is that what, is it gonna take that?
The fact, it's required by the standards, okay? Even if we voted for it, you're not getting an occupancy permit. It will not be allowed.
Okay, so if we did sprinkle,
Yeah?
right, because you're telling me that's a requirement.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so if we sprinkle, then, you know, we'll give you a chance, because I don't understand, if I don't sprinkle and I have a commercial down there and I rent it out to somebody who's got crazy hours, maybe I could put a massage therapist place down there, maybe I could put whatever.
Go right ahead.
It's gonna be
And
nothing.
then you can come back to us for a new set of plans, and we'll look at the parking, and we'll look at everything else, and if it's up to standards and up to the code, and you have all the parking, and you have the sprinkle or whatever else you need, then you're fine. Yeah. Whatever you change it to, you have to come back. And then if you meet all requirements, you're all set. If you're complying to all your businesses, you shouldn't have any problem whatsoever.
So I want to comment is unfortunately change of use is a trigger for a lot of code requirements. So I mean,
Yeah.
this building might have operated the same way for a long time, and the deficiency in code over the years, because code get updated, is not reflected until there's a change of use, and I think we are at that point.
Yeah.
Unless you can continue to use the commercials as the same type of commercial in the past, then you can continue to do it. But if you're going to change it into a different commercial use even, let's say to a restaurant, then you'll face the same challenge. And that's just the reality of zoning that you have to deal with, unfortunately. I think for the parking situation, I will be encouraged to see what you can do. I mean, I don't think here we're against building more housing. I think that's consistent with what the city needs. But whether it can fit onto your land, I mean, it can fit in the house, all right. But on the land, parking is a important issue. And if there's not, excuse me, not enough parking, as you have mentioned, you can go to the zoning and ask for relief on parking on that too. And we have dealt with waiver of parking as well. If you can come up with a good reason why you think 4 units will not require that much off-street parking, for example, you can have a transportation demand management plan, which we have reviewed from other residential development. You can make the case, and and we can look at that.
That's what I'm thinking, because it seems like you're not on board with the parking. So I'd like to take another look at it, see if there's an alternative.
And you can look at whether, there are street parking available. You can look at there's like, walkable distance to destination, bus route along the way, and bike racks that you might provide. And all that will make the case for fewer parking. But
Located right on the bus line. The bus is right there on the corner of my.
I'm aware of that, but until you make the case, we'll have to consider, we'll have to wait until we see everything. And I think secondly, if you make them perpendicular, think of like curb cuts, right? Right now, when a city redo the sidewalk, that will be one thing that comes to be as well, because right now there's no curbs, really.
Well, it's one big curb, really.
Yeah. So that's something that I think you might want to, once you have an idea in mind, to have a conversation with DPW to figure out, and also DPD into what that situation is going to look like.
Okay.
And unfortunately, these things triggered by change of use. We have to, we cannot ignore it. We have to review that. So, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I realize that the next two meetings are like nuts, right? July and August. So realistically, if the applicant is requesting any sort of continuance, he's probably looking at what, September? Is that right, Peter?
Yes, if the,
We don't have to do it first. We can go to zoning next week. Yeah. I think we're okay with September.
What's the date,
That'll give me
Peter?
a lot of time to get creative.
it would be September 4th.
September 4th? That's not Labor Day?
Because the Monday is the holiday, right? The Labor Day?
Yes, so that
Fourth
should,
is the Thursday meeting?
the 4th is a Thursday, I think.
Oh, 4th is a Thursday, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if the applicant is specifically requesting the continuance, then I'd be inclined to bring that motion. But obviously, the applicant has to do it based on timing for us.
Right. Do you request that we continue to September 4th?
Yes.
Okay. That's the request. Peter, they'll still have to sign the form to have it continued to September 4th. If you can handle that administratively, we would appreciate that.
May I just, I want to encourage you to make the most opportunity of working with DPD and DPW so that you don't come with still have a lot of outstanding issues.
Understood. And maybe we'll be able to go to zoning board before then and, see if they're able to grant any relief on parking on their end, so.
Sure.
It should be noted that we may disagree with zoning.
I understand.
Okay. We have site plan and we have special permit approval, and we may disagree with zoning as far as how many spaces or what may be required. So I don't want any false hope with that
No,
if you go to zoning ahead of time.
I understand.
Okay. Do you need a motion, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? I'd make a motion to continue it based on the applicant's request to September 4th. Please.
I second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. The motion is approved. Continue to September 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Okay. So where are we here? Yep. Okay. So now we go back to the agenda. We go back to definitive subdivision on 318 Andover Street. Anybody here from 318 Andover Street? Since we have no show from 318 Andover Street, I know they got a continuance, as Peter said, from the zoning board the other day, and they got to continue till when? Well, next week or something, the 22nd, or? I think that's what Dylan told me today when we were discussing it.
Yep, they got continued to June 23rd.
Or 23rd, okay. I'll make a motion that we continue the matter to September 4th.
So do we, Mr. Chairman, through you, Mr. Chairman, do we run into any timing issues with doing that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like automatic approval. I'm concerned,
Okay, so I'd make the motion that we continue to September 4th with the condition that the applicant sign the waiver for the request of time and agreeable for the continuance.
that works.
And if they don't agree to the continuance, let us know, and we'll act on it. Okay. But yeah, since nobody's here, we can go forward tonight and vote on it any way we please. They have not formally asked for continuance from this board, and just because they got one from the ZBA to a date certain, we don't know what date certain they want from us. We don't know what their flexibility is. I mean, all they had to do was send a letter in, and we've required a lot of them not to appear, just send us a letter. But, I mean, so we could either act favorably tonight, we can act negative tonight, or we can give them the benefit of the doubt and continue it with the condition that they sign the agreement for the continuance.
Is there a deadline when they need to sign that?
Yeah, so they should sign that so we don't fall into any time
Okay.
restrictions on it.
Is it by the next meeting or before, like?
Yeah, sure. Have them sign that agreement within 2 weeks. Is that satisfactory, Peter?
I think so. I'd have to check the statute, but I don't think we're approaching.
Yeah, I mean, you tell them that that no one showed, the board was letting them go forward on the matter, nobody showed up, we didn't know what the intentions were, we gave them the benefit of the doubt and continued it out.
Yep.
And we just need them to agree to continuance. And if they have any further problem with it, just let the board know.
Right.
Okay? All right, so I'll make the motion to continue. Did we already vote on it, or?
No, we didn't.
Not yet, okay.
No.
So I'll make the motion that we continue it to the September 4th, since there was nobody present tonight, with the condition that they sign the continuous request form.
And second the motion.
Okay. Motion made, and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion carries. So, 3 cases on, 3 continuances. Making things, hopefully we could have resolved something tonight, but didn't seem to work.
We filled up 9-4.
Yeah, so, any further comments from any other board members? I know Jerry must have been happy because they saw an article in the paper about the Fork Bridge, where they were starting to do some things on it. So I'm sure Jerry would have a few comments if he was joining. He's probably watching us now, having something to say about it. So,
About the shovel breaking, Mr. Chairman, I did notice that. They talked about swimming in the water or doing some studies or doing something, so Jerry's not off the hook yet.
okay, so, we can make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye. Chair votes
Aye.
yes, motion carries. We have adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everyone.
Rec-